Tonight, Toronto tenants decide to stop paying rent in protest of living conditions and high rent increases.
We hope that this is going to get this landlord to sit down and negotiate with tenants, but I think it's a message for landlords all over the city and the province.
We'll have more on the residents' demands. Plus,
a partner of mine that was part of me died of COVID-19.
Dozens gather for a candlelight vigil to remember the lives lost during the pandemic. And
this is a team, again, that is built for the postseason.
We'll bring you some of the celebration and reaction as the Blue Jays are set to return to the playoffs for a second consecutive year.
This is CBC Late Night News.
Tenants in 2 North York buildings have joined hundreds of others in the city who are withholding rent payments. Residents say they are dealing with poor living conditions and above-guideline rent increases. Olivia Bowden reports.
Every single tenant.
This Sunday afternoon gathering isn't just to meet the neighbors. More than 100 tenants, which include families with young children, are holding a rally to announce their rent strike. At 1440 and 1442 Lawrence Avenue West, tenants say above-guideline rent increases have made it hard to live. And that's not the only problem.
Not just like the bed bugs. Bed bugs is like very common, I guess, in this building. Also the garbages, like it's everywhere. Even there's no maintenance in a carpet, like the hallway. It's rotten, it stinks.
Residents like Mylene Morata say the complex's landlord, Barney River Investments, has stopped maintaining the property. Canada Post has put up a notice stating they won't deliver mail to one of the buildings due to health and safety concerns, and portions of a hallway wall are seen in disrepair. Morata says calls and emails to the real estate management company about the state of the building have gone unanswered. CBC Toronto has also reached out to Barney River Investments and received no response.
Well, the landlord is expecting people to live in those conditions and also charging them extra rent.
Bruno Dobruzen is with the York Southwestern Tenants Union. He says tenants have been footing the bill for external repairs to the buildings. Though they are covered by rent control, the landlord can implement above-guideline increases if they claim renovations. Dobruzen says tenants have been receiving about a 5% increase in rent per year for the last 8 years.
On a bigger picture, I think we really need to start taking the situations of tenants more seriously. We need real rent control.
And the North York tenants aren't the only ones on strike. 33 King Street, 22 John Street, and a building complex on Thorncliffe Park Drive are also on strike. Tenants have also cited poor maintenance and above-guideline increases as the reasons for striking. And lawyer Jordan Donich says people withhold rent when they feel they have no options left.
This is part of a bigger problem, okay? There's underlying structural problems in the system that are leading to these particular scenarios where tenants are feeling like they're forced almost to resort to this mechanism of dealing with it.
Multiple tenants told us that they've reached out to their landlord, Barney River Investments, which is located at this building here at Bay and Adelaide Streets, about the issues they're dealing with, including pest control. They say they've received no response. The tenants also said that they're prepared to strike as long as is needed. Olivia Bowden, CBC News, Toronto.
The province has expanded the number of conditions that pharmacists are allowed to give prescriptions for. The 6 ailments added to the list include canker sores, diaper rash, and nausea during pregnancy.
These 6 common ailments are in addition to the 13 pharmacies have had the ability to provide treatment for since our government announced changes in January of this year. Over 89% of pharmacists across Ontario are participating in this program, and over 400,000 assessments have been made since the start of the year.
The minister says patients only need their health card to access a pharmacist's treatment, and she says the move is part of the government's plan to make healthcare more accessible. Infectious disease specialist Dr. Isaac Bogosh says that while this will help lower barriers to access healthcare, investment in primary care is still vital.
We have a family medicine crisis in Canada. We don't have enough family physicians, and certainly every Canadian needs a family physician. while this is certainly an extremely important step in enabling people to access healthcare, we still need to have significant investments in family medicine in Canada to ensure that everyone has access to a family physician, because that's preventative care, longitudinal care. It's extremely important to do. This just diffuses a lot of the pressure on the healthcare system. These are relatively straightforward and extremely common ailments, and the treatment of them is also extremely common. There's no reason people should be waiting in an emergency department for any of these issues, or waiting in a walk-in clinic or an urgent care clinic for this. This can be dealt with in a pharmacy. But again, there's the longitudinal care that's extremely important, and it's extremely important that everyone has access to a family physician. And again, we need to see a significant investment in that to provide holistic longitudinal care for individuals and families.
It's been exactly 1 year since the federal government lifted all COVID-19 restrictions. And today, a group in Toronto held a candlelight vigil to remember the lives lost during the pandemic. As Tyler Cheese reports, the event comes as healthcare experts remind us that COVID-19 is still a concern.
Today, candles were lit for all those who died during the COVID-19 pandemic.
We faced the storm's embrace. With healing hearts, we found our grace. Frontliners, heroes. With hearts so true, compassion champions, we thank you.
The group that gathered in Queen's Park today did so to mark 1 year since Canada lifted all COVID-19 restrictions. They expressed gratitude for the frontline workers and government officials who worked tirelessly throughout the pandemic. And of course, they took time to remember their lost loved ones.
A partner of mine that was part of me died of COVID-19. I'm sure there are so many other people like me who share the same grief. So I thought that if we all sat together and came up with a healing process, it would make a lot of sense.
He's hoping that this event becomes a years-long tradition in Toronto.
We are going to have an event every year. We are requesting the city and the province to provide a space where we can have a monument to remember all those who died. 50,000+ people are very many to be lost in the air.
Taking a moment just to reflect, I think, is important. Many people have died over the past 3 years.
This city councillor was on hand to show support, but also to remind people that COVID-19 is still impacting the community.
I'm working with Dr. Villa and her team at Public Health to make sure that everyone in Toronto who wants a vaccine will get one. And also encourage people to also get their flu shot.
Today's vigil comes at a time when health officials are warning that COVID-19 cases are on the rise again this fall.
When we look at most metrics, you can see the wastewater surveillance is going up, you can see the cases are going up, you can see there's even a bump in the number of people with COVID-19 in hospital.
He says this is a trend that's likely here to stay.
The same thing happened for the last few years, and the same thing's going to happen in the future as well.
He recommends keeping up with vaccine boosters and taking precautions around medically vulnerable people, especially in indoor settings. Tyler Cheese, CBC News, Toronto.
A man is dead after a motorcycle collision on Highway 401.
Just before 2 o'clock this afternoon on Sunday, October 1st, Toronto OPP were called to Highway 401 eastbound, ramp to Eglinton Avenue in Toronto, of a report of a single motorcycle that had gone down. A 61-year-old man was pronounced deceased at the scene.
Police have not confirmed the cause of the collision. The investigation lasted throughout the afternoon. Roads reopened around 6 p.m. The OPP is asking any witnesses to contact them. There are growing calls for Ottawa to release a confidential document looking at the presence of Nazi war criminals in Canada. They follow an embarrassing episode in Parliament when a Ukrainian war vet was honored and later revealed to have fought for a unit created by the Nazis. JP Tasker reports.
This embarrassing moment in Parliament honoring a Nazi unit soldier.
He's a Ukrainian hero, a Canadian hero.
Is prompting calls for Canada to reckon with its own history.
How did the Nazi war criminals get in, and how were they able to avoid any accountability all this time?
It's unclear how many alleged war criminals were admitted after the Second World War. One Jewish group estimates the number is in the thousands. It's Canada's dirty little secret, says the special envoy for Holocaust remembrance.
I really think at this point we need to open up the archives of history to expose the sunlight of disinfectant and arrive at the truth.
The Deschênes Commission probed the issue in the 1980s. Part of its report made public, the rest marked secret. The names of Nazi collaborators never released. As for ex-soldiers like Yaroslav Hunka, the commission said, charges of war crimes against members of the Galicia division have never been substantiated.
When it comes to remembering the victims, we've done a lot. But when it comes to remembering the murderers, we've done very little.
David Mattis appeared before the commission decades ago. He says its findings on Ukrainian Nazi soldiers are questionable.
The Nuremberg Tribunal identified the SS as a criminal organization, and I think that has much more persuasive force.
The NDP wants the government to name names of ex-Nazis.
We absolutely need to have more transparency.
But when pressed, Canada's Attorney General wouldn't commit to opening the books.
I think there's always room to learn about instances of gross human rights violations.
Jewish groups in the opposition party say what happened in Parliament was a shameful event. The chance to re-examine history, they say, may be the silver lining. JP Tasker, CBC News, Ottawa.
We now know who the Toronto Blue Jays will face in the American League wildcard playoffs. Game 1 of the best-of-3 series starts Tuesday in Minnesota against the Twins.
Gavin Biggio's got another hit. His second of the game. Bichette up to second.
The Jays closed out the regular season today with a 12-8 loss to the Tampa Bay Rays. After the game, the team celebrated their wild card spot with a shower of champagne. Toronto actually secured a playoff spot late last night after the Seattle Mariners were eliminated, bringing a lot of excitement to fans.
Wow.
We're pumped.
Yeah,
Very pumped.
Excited.
Yes.
Hope they go all the way.
Yeah.
Exciting, I think. Anytime, especially in the MLB, if a baseball team gets in, everybody's got a shot. So I hope just like everybody else that we take a long run into the playoffs.
For more on the playoffs, we spoke to Mike Wilner. He's a baseball columnist for the Toronto Star and the host of the Deep Left Field Daily podcast. He shared some of his thoughts as the Jays prepare for Tuesday's game.
Expect to see the team that we've seen over the course of the last couple of weeks. You know, this is a team that was built for playoff success. They've got the best pitching in the league. They've got the best defense in the game. And that's what wins championships. I think we all expect them to progress, right? They made it to the playoffs last year, didn't win a game in the first round. They missed the playoffs by a game the year before. They were in the playoffs in 2020, but that was a weird, expanded COVID season. That's strange. But, you know, they haven't won a playoff game. This group has not won a playoff game yet. So that's the start, right? There's pressure on them to win a game in the playoffs, never mind win a series. But they come in at the 6th seed. So they're the last of the 6 seeds, even though they have a better record than the team that they're going to play on the road. I don't think anyone outside of Toronto expects them to win the World Series. So I don't think they feel any external pressure. But I think internally they know how good they are and they know how good they're capable of being. We just showed Brandon Belt hitting a home run. Brandon Belt has 2 World Series rings. He won them in San Francisco in 2012 and 2014. George Springer is their everyday right fielder and leadoff man. He was a World Series MVP. Kevin Kiermaier, the center fielder, has been to a World Series. There's a lot of playoff experience and a lot of good playoff experience on this team. They certainly expect to win. I don't know if that's pressure, but I think that they believe they're as good as any team in the league. They have the best pitching and defense out of any team that's left in there. And, you know, how many times over the years have we heard pitching and defense wins championships? It's often true, and the Blue Jays are the best. This is a team, again, that is built for the postseason. They absolutely can win the World Series. Will they? Nobody has any idea. That's what's so much fun about watching it in October.
There's a live look at Windsor tonight. Clear skies and feels like 17 degrees. Melinda Singh joins us now with the first look at your forecast.
You're going to be continuing to see temperatures into the mid-20s, potentially even getting into the high 20s. But look at this. As we head into the end of the week, into your Thanksgiving long weekend, we're going to be looking at a cool down persisting. A trough of low pressure will be developing right across Ontario down to the Great Lakes, and temperatures are going to be getting well down below normal for this time of year. As we head into your Sunday overnight, we're going to continue to see the threat for thunderstorms for areas areas across northern Ontario, Fort Hope, Moosonee, areas like Sandy Lake. They're going to be non-severe in nature, which is the good news, and they will continue into your pre-dawn Monday. We did see quite a bit of storm structure earlier on Sunday. Now, overall, there is those thunderstorms pushing through, holding on to the cloud cover for your Monday, and the chance to see a little bit of some scattered showers for areas like Geraldton down in through Kapuskasing as we head into your Monday evening. Now, across southern Ontario, we are going to continue to see a little bit of cloud cover as we head into your Monday morning. Blue skies as we head into the day Monday and Tuesday as our ridge continues to build, and temperatures will be getting quite hot, definitely feeling a lot like summer. We haven't seen a lot of rainfall for the month of September, only 11.2 millimeters of rainfall for the city of Toronto. Ottawa for you, 24.7, so well below our average normal rainfall for this month. Now, overall, temperatures will continue to be into the mid to high 20s as we continue into your Tuesday and your Wednesday.
Parks Canada has confirmed a grizzly bear attacked and killed 2 people in Banff National Park on Friday night. The people who died were husband and wife, according to a friend of the family. Joe Horwood has more.
A desperate satellite SOS Friday evening, a bear attack in a remote part of Canada's oldest national park. Bad weather grounded helicopters, forcing rescuers to make the long, dark hike into the Red Deer River Valley. By the time they arrived, it was too late. 2 people were dead.
They were outdoors people who were very used to going out into the backcountry and live for getting outdoors. So it's I'm sure an incredible shock for their family, and I just really feel for them. It's a horrible situation.
Bear attacks are rare, fatalities even rarer.
We only see a couple of those, a year, and we're talking about all of North America. So it is an extremely rare thing to happen, but that doesn't really change it for the family and the victims. It's devastating.
There have been several bear encounters in recent weeks.
All right, guys, keep walking.
This video, taken last month, shows a group of hikers in the same park being followed by a pair of grizzlies for about 20 minutes before the bears disappeared into the trees. And just last week, the park's most famous grizzly, a 650-pound behemoth known as the Boss, charged at locals in the Banff town site, where he had come to raid fruit trees near a resident's home. This time of year is especially dangerous.
At this time of year, bears are trying to fatten up for the winter. So they're just feeding. They become protective of the food source. And if they feel like you're a potential threat to take that food source away, they may act in an aggressive manner.
Bears protecting their food source can be defensive. The response team in this case encountered a grizzly displaying aggressive behavior and killed it. To stay safe, the main thing is to avoid contact in the first place. Making noise while hiking, keeping an eye out for tracks or claw marks on trees, even looking for birds circling above, which could indicate a carcass is nearby. Titchener says if you see these signs, pick a different trail. If you do come face to face with a grizzly, group up, do not run away. Get the bear spray out and be ready to use it. But a defensive bear is a very different situation from being stalked by a bear. So taking the time to take a bear safety course before you go out into the backcountry could be the difference between life and death. Joe Horwood, CBC News, Lake Louise.
Hundreds of runners and walkers participated in several races today for CIBC's Run for the Cure.
There's still 30,000 women a year being diagnosed with this in Canada. And so the effort that everybody makes today at the Run for the Cure is to raise money so we can fund more research, so we can find it sooner, treat it more effectively, and live long, healthy lives.
The event took place at Nathan Phillips Square and included both a 5-kilometer and 1-kilometer run. The money raised goes towards supporting the Canadian Cancer Society. And dozens gathered at Christie Pitts Park today with a goal to improve cycling in the city.
Since I've gotten back on my bike as an adult, it is pure freedom. I feel free. I can get around the city quickly. I have community, but there still is that element of danger. So today it's to raise funds and awareness and build community in support of safer streets, really for everyone.
Riders cycled downtown for almost 12 kilometers, wrapping in the east end of downtown near the Don River. Funds from the ride will be used to support Cycle Toronto's programming next year. The local charity has advocated for cycle-friendly infrastructure and policy. There's a live look at Ottawa tonight, where it feels like 17 degrees. Melinda's back now with our extended forecast and clear skies in Ottawa and here in Toronto today, but that wasn't the case across the province.
We're going to be continuing to see temperatures into the mid-20s, potentially even getting into the high 20s. But look at this. As we head into the end of the week, into your Thanksgiving long weekend, we're going to be looking at a cool down persisting. A trough of low pressure will be developing right across Ontario down to the Great Lakes, and temperatures are going to be getting well down below normal for this time of year. As we head into your Sunday overnight, we're going to continue to see the threat for thunderstorms for areas across northern Ontario, Fort Hope, Moosonee, areas like Sandy Lake. They're going to be non-severe in nature, which is the good news, and they will continue into your pre-dawn Monday. We did see quite a bit of storm structure earlier on Sunday. Now, overall, there is those thunderstorms pushing through, holding on to the cloud cover for your Monday, and the chance to see a little bit of some scattered showers for areas like Geraldton down in through Kapuskasing as we head into your Monday evening. Now, across southern Ontario, we are going to continue to see a little bit of cloud cover as we head into your Monday morning. Blue skies as we head into the day Monday and Tuesday as our ridge continues to build, and temperatures will be getting quite hot, definitely feeling a lot like summer. We haven't seen a lot of rainfall for the month of September, only 11.2 millimeters of rainfall for the city of Toronto. Ottawa for you, 24.7, so well below our average normal rainfall for this month. Now, overall, temperatures will continue to be into the mid to high 20s as we continue into your Tuesday and your Wednesday.
Thanks, Melinda. A man from London, Ontario now holds the Guinness World Record for eating 50 Carolina Reaper peppers in 6 minutes and 49 seconds.
3, 2, 1, go.
Here's Mike Jack eating what are considered to be one of the world's hottest chili peppers. After setting the record for the fastest time to eat 50 peppers, he went on to eat 85 more, consuming a total of 135. And that's our show for you tonight. Thanks so much for watching. We'll leave you with more of that champagne party, the Jays celebrating their spot in the 2023 MLB postseason. They kick off the playoffs against the Minnesota Twins on Tuesday. Good night.